Was the luxury icon Rolls-Royce a fairy tale turned reality? Indeed, a major proportion of the ingredients used in the origins of this charming company were the blood, sweat, and tears of a poverty-struck kid, with his fateful meeting with someone who shared common interests and passion. Henry Royce was born in 1863 into a struggling family. His parents, James and Mary Royce, operated a flour mill, but financial difficulties plagued them. By 1867, the business had failed, leading the family into bankruptcy. With no other choice, they moved to London in search of work. Henry, though only 4 years old, began working to support his family. His first job involved scaring birds away from crops on a farm, earning him just a few pennies each week. The situation at home worsened when just 5 years later, Henry's father died. The family's financial problems deepened, and instead of attending school like most children, Henry worked full-time jobs to help support his widowed mother and siblings. What did he do? Well, he sold newspapers and delivered telegrams for the post office, earning only a few pennies per delivery. Despite his best efforts, his mother couldn't provide for the family and eventually sent Henry to live with an elderly couple who were barely making ends meet. During these years, Henry's malnourishment and the harsh conditions of manual labor would cause severe health problems that lasted throughout his life. By the age of 15, Henry had only completed a single year of formal schooling. Fortunately, he was taken in by a man named George, whose son was also an apprentice. In the evenings, George taught the boys how to use tools, and Henry's fascination with mechanics grew. He spent countless hours practicing, building beautifully crafted brass models of wheelbarrows in George's shed. Though Henry was skilled with his hands and had a strong work ethic, his aunt's financial assistance could only cover 3 years of his apprenticeship. Forced to drop out, Henry found work at a tool-making company in Leeds, earning him just 1 penny per hour. Later, he moved on to the Electric Light and Power Company in Liverpool, where his passion for electronics grew. He frequently skipped meals in favor of working with machinery, working long hours and saving what little money he could. Eventually, his effort paid off, and he managed to enroll in night classes at the City Guilds Institute, studying electrical engineering. At 19, Henry secured the best job he had ever had, becoming chief electrician for the Maxim Western Electric Company. For the first time in his life, he felt like he was making progress. However, fate was not kind to Henry, and in 1884 the company folded, leaving him unemployed once again. Yet, instead of looking for another job, Henry decided to take matters into his own hands. He wanted more from life and was determined to create something significant. So despite his modest beginnings and minimal savings, Henry took a bold step and decided to start his own business. But how? Henry convinced one of his colleagues, an engineer named Ernest Claremont, to join him on his ambitious journey. In 1884, they founded F.H. Royce and Company with just £20 from Henry and £50 from Ernest. Their fledgling business, which initially manufactured electric fittings, was based out of a small rented building in Manchester. The two lived in a single room above the shop, surviving on sandwiches to stretch their meager budget. Despite the odds stacked against them, Henry and Ernest persisted. Henry's relentless dedication to creating superior products eventually paid off as they produced their first successful item, the electric doorbell. The small but innovative product quickly gained popularity, and Henry found himself working late into the night to meet the growing demand. Using the profits from the doorbell, they expanded their product range, developing more complex items like generators and electric cranes. Their business grew year after year, and by 1899, the company's capital had reached £30,000, equivalent to over $1 million today after adjusting for inflation. Even with this success, Henry wasn't content. He set his sights on an even more ambitious goal: to create the most luxurious car in the world. Around this time, Henry and Ernest, who had become close friends, also found time for their personal lives. They each married sisters Edith and Minnie Punt, officially turning their business partnership into a family affair. Henry's interest in automobiles began with his purchase of a second-hand French car in 1901. Though the vehicle was in poor condition and didn't even start, Henry quickly fixed it and went on to improve its performance. Eventually, he realized that instead of fixing other people's cars, he should build his own. By 1904, he had custom-built 3 cars, which he called the Royce 10. While 2 of the cars stayed with him and Ernest, the third one was sold to a man named Henry Edmonds. As we know, every reaction would benefit from a catalyst, right? And in the case of Rolls-Royce legacy, it was Henry Edmonds. You see, this historical link of a man was a devoted automotive enthusiast from his early days. Being a member of the Automobile Club of Great Britain and Ireland, he entered the motoring event 1,000-mile trial, where he met Rolls. Impressed by Royce's 10 HP car, Edmonds believed that Royce's engineering skill could be the answer to Rolls' search for a quality British-made car to sell in his dealership. Hence, Edmonds introduced Rolls to Royce at the Midland Hotel in Manchester on May 4, 1904. Charles Rolls and Henry Royce were an unlikely pair. Henry's life had been one of struggle, hard work, and perseverance, while Charles's life was just the opposite. However, their background of extreme polarity was destined to meet for the sake of humanity and phenomenal advancements in engineering and technology. Unlike Henry, Charles was already deeply involved in the world of automobiles. Born in 1877, Charles was the son of the first Baron and Lady Languedoc. He attended Cambridge University. By the age of 18, he had already acquired one of his first cars in the UK, a Peugeot Phaeton, which he purchased in Paris. This vehicle was one of the earliest cars seen in Wales and Cambridge. Known for his hands-on approach, Rolls earned the nickname Dirty Rolls for his habit of working on cars himself, often covered in grease. In 1902, Charles Royce established one of Britain's first car dealerships, C.S. Rolls & Co., which specialized in selling French-made Panhard and Moores cars. His enthusiasm for high-performance vehicles led him to competitive racing. And in 1903, he set an unofficial land speed record by reaching nearly 83 miles per hour while driving a 30-horsepower Moores in Clipstone Park. However, this record was not officially recognized due to technicalities with the timing equipment. Unfair, right? Still, when Charles first met Henry, he wasn't immediately convinced by Henry's 2-cylinder car. However, after taking it for a test drive, Charles was so impressed by the quality of the vehicle that he insisted they go into business together. That night, Charles returned to London and woke his business partner to tell him, "I've just met the greatest motor engineer in the world." In December 1904, the Rolls-Royce company was officially formed. Despite their vastly different backgrounds, the partnership between Charles and Henry worked perfectly. Henry brought his expertise in mechanical engineering and dedication to perfection, while Charles contributed with his business knack and connections to wealthy, high-profile individuals. Together, they presented their first car, the Rolls-Royce 10 HP, at the 1904 Paris Motor Show. The car sold for £395, a small fortune at the time, and only 16 of these cars were ever made. Rolls-Royce's reputation for excellence quickly grew, and in 1906 they introduced the Silver Ghost, a car that would become legendary. Coated in silver and aluminium, the Silver Ghost was so quiet that during a publicity stunt they placed a glass of water on the engine while it was running, without spilling a drop. This feat earned the Silver Ghost the title of the best car in the world. While Rolls-Royce flourished, Charles Rolls focused increasingly on his other passion, aviation. He became the first Briton to make a non-stop flight across the English Channel and back, earning him the admiration of the public. Tragically, in 1910, Charles died in a plane crash at just 32 years old, becoming the first Briton to die in an aviation accident. Was this a setback for Henry? No. Henry continued to push Rolls-Royce to new heights. During World War I, Rolls-Royce expanded into aircraft engines, producing the Eagle engine, which powered many Allied planes. This marked the beginning of Rolls-Royce's legacy in aviation. By 1921, demand for Rolls-Royce cars had grown so much that a new factory was opened in the United States. Even with a 3-year backlog of orders, the company never compromised on quality. And to this day, every Rolls-Royce car is handcrafted, with each vehicle taking up to 6 months to complete. Henry Royce was eventually knighted for his contributions to engineering, receiving the Order of the British Empire. retire. Even as his health declined, he continued to work tirelessly, sketching ideas from his bedside until the night before his death in 1933. The legacy of Rolls-Royce lives on, and today the company is valued at over $7 billion. So the moral: beginnings may not be in our control, but the end is very much in our control. And with pure dedication, excellence is a sure result, and in the process, attaining unforgettable immortality. Feeling urged to pursue your own dreams? Comment down below. If you like watching stories like this, subscribe because you don't want to miss out on the next issue. Until next time.